Hello students, this is Mr. Z, and today we're going over physical changes, also known as mechanical changes. Today you'll need your journal, a pencil, and an electronic device. Go ahead and title your page Physical Changes. Also note in parentheses that it's also known as mechanical changes. You will be drawing the Physical Mechanical Changes graphic organizer on your next available page of your science journal. When completed, go to the next slide and answer the check for understanding question. Okay, first let's start with the definition of a physical change. A physical change in matter is when these two things occur. 1. A change in matter that does not change its original properties. For example, you took a sheet of paper and you tore it in half. It did not change its original properties. It is still paper on this side. It is still paper on that side. It can be returned back to its original state of matter. So a physical change in matter is when it can also be returned back to its original state in matter. All right, so we have this torn sheet of paper, and we now want to return it back to a full sheet of paper. Well, there's a way to do this, and this is actually how they make recycled paper. You will continue to tear up this paper, put water in it, put it in a blender, and make pretty much like a milkshake out of this torn paper. You will then take a screen, kind of like the screen that is on most windows, and you will pour the milkshakey water over the screen. You'll set it out in the sun, you'll let it dry, and when it's dry, you will peel it off and you will have another sheet of paper. This is exactly how they make recycled paper. All right, so let's talk about some examples of physical changes in matter. Melted butter. What do you think? If it melts, can it be returned back to butter again? So you said yes, you're correct. Melted butter on a dish, when put back into the refrigerator, will harden back to its original state. Torn paper. Can it be returned back to its original state? Is it still the same matter on both sides? You're correct. This would be a physical change. What about something a little bit harder? Boiled water. You boil the water disappears into steam. Can that steam be returned back to water? Yes. If you capture it with a still, it can be returned back to water again. So again, it is not a change in its original properties. It's still the same property. And it can be returned back to its original state. Okay, easy one. Melted ice. Can melted ice be returned back to ice? Very good. You can take the water, put it back in the ice tray, put it back in the refrigerator, and you have ice again. So this is a physical or mechanical change. A little bit harder. Broken cracker. You can bang it up with a hammer. Lots of little pieces. Can it be returned back to a cracker again? Are those little pieces the same as the original matter? Are those little pieces cracker pieces? Yes, they are. All right, how do you return it back to a cracker? A little bit difficult, kind of like our torn paper. Add a little water. Mix it up into a mixture of dough. Spread it out. Cut it into little squares. Put it in a baking pan and bake it, and your cracker returns. So a little bit more difficult, but it can be returned back to a cracker. Last one, vanishing dry ice. Take dry ice, set it out on the ground, watch it disappear. A lot of smoke with dry ice if you've ever worked with dry ice. Can that smoke, which is the gas, be returned back to dry ice again? Yes, if you capture the gas and refrigerate the gas at a certain temperature, it can turn back into dry ice. So these are all examples of physical changes. The main thing to remember is they can be returned back to their original state. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than other times, but if it can be returned back to its original state, it is something that is called a physical change or a mechanical change. All right, well, this concludes our lesson on physical and mechanical changes, and we'll see you on the next slide.